Hey everybody, welcome back to our live show, 8:30 every Friday, or as often as I can get here. We're going to be probably doing every Friday, at least for the first quarter of 2025. A lot of comments on the last couple of sessions, so hopefully this is going to be good as well. I'm going to talk to you today, and I'm assuming that we have some CEOs, VPs of sales who are tuning in because of the title, and that is, do I really have a professional sales team? And I know we all think we do when we look at them. We say, you know what, we got good people, they're good human beings. Maybe they're not achieving at the level quite like I'd like them to, but generally they're good people. And I've no doubt about that. We don't hire bad people. But the question becomes is, are they pros? Are they really professional at what they do? And I've got a few categories here that I'm going to define, and then I'm going to talk about what an amateur does in that category and what a professional does. And you can rate your team. If you're a frontline sales professional or you're a CEO and also sell, rate yourself. Have at it. You're welcome to do it. So let's get into this. And the way this all started actually was I had a call from a prospect who has a handful of salespeople, and they call on larger companies, long selling cycles, complex, a lot of design and spec work. And they were out with their team recently, and they said, you know, I don't think our team is really keeping up. Seems like we're not using AI, we're not using digital technology, we're not shooting videos for content. When we show up at a prospect's office, we're kind of doing the same things we've always done. We're not challenging them. We're not educating our prospects. And so they asked me the question, how do you know if you have a professional sales team? And that got me thinking, and I gave them some kind of off-the-cuff answers that were decent, but I thought about it a little bit more, and I wanted to share this with you. This is a document I did a couple of years ago called Are You an Amateur or Are You a Pro? And I've got a handful. I'm not going to go through all 12 of these, but I want to share with you some. So rate yourself here. Scale of 1 to 10 is fine, or 1 to 7, whatever you like. So here's the first category. The first category of rating yourself as to whether you're a pro or not is rate your attachment level. An amateur becomes very attached to deals. They get their well-being and their fulfillment based on whether they get a deal or not. A pro doesn't see the world that way. A pro is no worse for the wear if they get the deal or don't get the deal. Now, they may be a little disappointed for a day or so, but it doesn't affect their well-being, their state of mind. And I know some amateurs will say, well, that's impossible. How can you work on a deal for 6 months and not care? Well, pros are good at understanding, well, should I even be working on this deal? So you're assuming that they're working on the same deals you are, or the amateur is, and they're not. They're working on very different deals, and they're much more judicious up front. So the attachment comes when you get entangled or enslaved or encumbered by the result. That's an amateur move. Pro move, whether they work with me or not, I'm still good. I'm all right. I move on. I've got a funnel full of prospects to work with me. If one person doesn't, who cares? If you don't have a funnel full of prospects, well, I'll get to in a minute, you got a problem. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is the simple word outlook. The amateur has a certain outlook of life, and the pro has an outlook. What's the amateur's outlook? It's scarcity, caution, lack, restriction. It's I would never invest $1 in my own personal training or coaching, because why would I do that? I'm hoarding that money until I die so I can leave it to somebody, or whatever they say. Pros say, hey, if it can help me solve a problem, if it can help me get to a new future, if I can invest 10K to get 100K, where can I sign up? How quickly can I go? The market is abundant. My outlook is one of abundance and plentifulness and bounty. But the amateur is not like that. And so a lot of times when I start to go through these with clients, the amateurs get very frustrated because they can't imagine anybody not having the same attitude on outlook that they do. And I will tell you, there's a difference between an an outlook on a billionaire and the outlook on a thousandaire. They're very different, very different. And so if you want to grow your business, which I know you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't, you got to look at your outlook. Look at the outlook. So that's number 2. Number 3, value. The third element of being an amateur or being a pro is value. And what I mean by that is, how do they value themselves, and do they see themselves as value in the component of the sales process? The amateur looks at value through the eyes of product, through the eyes of features and benefits and advantages and technical specs. The pro doesn't look at it like that. The pro understands that side of the value equation, but the pro says, I'm bringing value by showing up and going through things and guiding my prospect and asking them the questions and being curious and shaping the vision. The pro does all those things. The amateur is focused on the product. I hear this all the time from CEOs. Why do some of my best people never have price problems? They never discount, they don't need to, and all my lower level, lower income people are always fretting about price. And so now you know. It's because the pro doesn't put as much value or puts more value on themselves in the cycle. So if you want to move from amateur to pro, or you want to move up that spectrum a little bit, stop worrying about the features and technical benefits of the product and start bringing value as a human being. Are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you doing webinars? Are you sharing your value with the world? No? Well, you're going to resort now back to technical products. And guess what happens then? It's all about price. It all gets down to price. I've got had a client actually last year and had a couple people who were very reluctant to post anything, to create content, to do anything like that. They felt like that was either beneath them, or I don't know what. You know, I've tried to get into their brain, but I couldn't do it. And guess what? They're the average performers. They're the amateurs. The pros were shooting videos. They were creating YouTube channels. They were excited about doing the next video that was going to help the customer. That's a pro, because a pro understands that the value is not specifically around product. All right. So number 3, amateurs value the product. Pros value themselves in the whole cycle. Okay. Number 4, resistance. And this is about how the amateur and how the pro handle resistance. And resistance in this case is pushback from the prospect. Maybe the prospect said they were going to call back and they didn't, or maybe they are pushing for a discount, or maybe they won't let you in to see the right people, whatever. An amateur fights resistance. A pro goes with the flow. A pro never fights resistance. Never. I never fight resistance. If a person doesn't want to talk to me after the first meeting, okay, if you're out, I'm out. If you're out, why would I chase you around the world trying to get you to have a second meeting with me? Why would I do that? Now, if I'm screwing up the first meeting, if I'm doing something in the first meeting that's causing them not to have a second meeting, then I've got to take that responsibility. But if I'm doing things pretty well and they don't want to have a second meeting, great. Let's go. Let's find somebody else you find somebody else to talk to, I'll find somebody else to talk to. And I don't say that to be, arrogant. Why in the world, if your systems are set up properly and you have enough lead flow and your opportunities come to you and you're posting content, you're creating things online and people are coming to you saying, I want help with this, why would you worry about a person not having a second meeting? There's a lot of things to worry about in the world. That ain't one. If they don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with them. We'll leave friends. Now, if they come back in 6 months, I'm ready. I'm not saying no forever. And they probably aren't either. But I want you to think about how do you take resistance? How do you tackle it? Do you tackle it with more resistance? Because more resistance creates even more resistance. It stacks. Or are you saying, look, if the person doesn't want to work with me, that's fine. All right, that's number 4 is resistance. Number 5, mentality. The amateur lets the world dictate their state of mind. The professional never lets the world dictate that. They dictate their own by what they put in their mind, by what they read, by what they consume, by what they watch. If you constantly watch programming on media or just podcasts that's all about limitation, scarcity, and lack, that's what you're going to think. That's going to be your mentality. And it's not that amateurs don't have positive thoughts at all. It's that amateurs don't really pay much attention to what goes into their mind. Pros do. Pros understand that everything that I consume leaves a mark. If it's positive, if I'm listening to Bill Caskey live on LinkedIn at 8:30 on Fridays, and you think this is positive, I'll leave that up to you, then great, keep watching it. If you think, Housewives of Atlanta, where there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of drama and a lot of yelling and screaming and not trusting and judgmental, if you like that, then that's going to leave a mark. It's going to leave a mark. So what's the mentality that you have, and what is the source of that? And media is a big source. All right. Let's do seven. Let's do money. What does the amateur think about money? What does a professional think? Well, the amateur says, you know what? Money doesn't grow on trees. If you get it and I don't get it, that's less from me, more for you. Pro doesn't think that way. Pro thinks there's plenty of money in the marketplace. Money follows pain, or money follows goals. So if you find a customer or set of customers that have a lot of problems or have big goals, the money will follow. And when the money follows, the attention follows. Pros know that money follows attention. What's the verse in the Bible that look for your heart and there will your treasure be also, or something like that? But basically, it's just your heart will find something it likes and the money will follow it. So pros understand that money in the marketplace follows the heart of the prospect. Not your heart, not what you want, what they want. And so this idea that, and this is a huge thing, when I look at pros, and I work with a lot of $500,000 to $1 million a year income people, and I also work with some people down at the other end of the spectrum, and there's a massive difference in how they see money. A massive difference. And what I've been fortunate to help people at the lower end do is reconfigure their thinking about money. And what's interesting is nobody comes into the program that I do or any kind of training saying, you know what, I really need to rethink my relationship with money. Nobody does, because we don't think about it. What they say is, I want a way to generate more leads. And what I say is, well, what's the relationship you have with money? Because more leads are going to give you more money. If you hate money, and nobody admits they do, but some of you do. Some of you hate money. You know how I know? Because you're not doing the things today that if you did them and did them consistently would lead to more money. So you must hate money. Sorry. If you were paying me a lot of money for this video, I would tell you the same thing. In fact, I'd probably be even a little bit more brutal about it. But this is community service content, so I'm just very cautious about how upset I make you. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to make more money, if you want to take your income from $100K a year to $500 or whatever it is, you pick, you might have to change your relationship with money. I did. I struggled with this for a lot of years. In fact, I think this struggle continues, and you just have various seasons of the struggle. I think you can go a couple years and have a great relationship with money, and something happens and boom, your income falls and it becomes hard to get it back up again. So it is not foolish to spend time on understanding the relationship you have with money. I wouldn't call him a friend, but I wouldn't call him an enemy. I don't mean that. I'm not close enough to him that I could call him and say, hey, let's go out for a beer today. And that is Rabbi Daniel Lapin, who wrote a book about the Bible, the secrets in the Bible, business secrets of the Bible. I think I've got it over there. And he talks a lot about the Jewish faith. Obviously, he's Jewish, the Jewish faith, and lessons from the Torah about money. and how the Jewish population looks at money. They look at money very differently. And it's not good or bad. It's just, it might make sense for you to pick up a copy of that book, Business Secrets of the Bible. And it's more than just money. It's about how to do business. But Rabbi Lappin has been very good. He's been on my podcast a couple times. Okay. So money is that. So is that number 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no. That's 6. Here's number 7. How you set goals. The amateur sets goals very differently than a professional. Here's what the amateur does. If they even set goals, they typically set an outcome goal. Like, I want to make more money. I want to, sometimes it's undefined. Sometimes it's defined. If you're making $100,000 a year and you want to make 300, then the goal would be, I want to, increase my income by 200K. Maybe the amateur will set target customer goals too. Again, if you're truly an amateur, you're not going to set any goals. True amateurs don't set any, but I'm moving up the spectrum here. But what does the pro do? How does the pro look at goal setting? Well, the pro looks at goal setting from the standpoint of, by going through the process of establishing the goals and going through the process of how I'm going to accomplish those goals become easier to accomplish. Not because I've become obsessed every day with making 17 phone calls, or I've become obsessed with the goal and every morning I get up and I look at it, although that's not a bad thing. It's more the process they went through that creates kind of a cognitive dissonance in their heart that says, look, this is my goal. I'm super clear on the goal and I know exactly how to get to it. You will be more likely to take the actions that will help you get to it than if you don't have a plan. So pros not only are good goal setters and specific, but they're also good planners. And I think every goal has a roadmap to it. And that roadmap includes things like the mindset. What mindset do I need to have? What do I need to embrace from a mentality standpoint to put myself in a position to do the behavior that's going to get me to the goal? So if you have big goals, but you haven't gone through a roadmap exercise or process, man, you really need to. It's very helpful. It'll change your whole mindset about what a goal is and how to accomplish it. We take our clients through this. We did it last year in the personal business planning session. It's a great exercise. It just immediately infuses you with the energy and the intelligence to accomplish the goal versus just having a goal that sits out there. Okay, so those are the 7. I hope this has helped you. If you're a leader of men and women teams, just do a quick check-in and say, what do my people like here? And you may find they're fine. And I've got others here that you may find they're not fine, but I wanted today just to introduce this concept to you that we all have the ability to be pros in our field, and it's only us that holds us back, and sometimes the knowledge of what it means to be a pro, that holds us back as well. If I've said anything here that hasn't offended you and you might want to talk to me about coming in and working with your team, you can go to scheduleacallwithcaskey.com, scheduleacallwithcaskey.com, and we'll probably put a link in this in the notes here. And I hope this has been helpful today. Let me know. Share any thoughts you have. You can direct message me or just comment on the LinkedIn here, or however you contact people like me. And I'd love to hear what you got out of this. Okay? I'll see you. Have a great weekend.